Hey, welcome to episode 4 of the Taking L's podcast.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
You should sing more on this podcast. You
I
really
will.
should. You
I
really
will.
should. If you don't know the singing guy, that is Braylon. My name's Dillon, and we're your hosts of the Taking L's podcast. And we're so pumped you're here. Braylon, real quick, in case someone hasn't joined us before, what's this podcast all about?
This podcast is all about health. Kidding. Like it's not about that at all.
I would be the worst person to talk about health.
This podcast is about fitness. Like I know nothing about that. I can barely do a push-up.
I don't have abs. They don't exist.
No. I watch Love Island. It's a show on Hulu. Not sure why I'm getting into that. And the guys on that show have the greatest bodies, and it makes me jealous. But this podcast...
Bro, same. Hold on. Can I tell a true story real quick before we start?
Yes, this is awesome. This is not our normal intro, and it's fantastic.
During a Love Island episode,
Yeah.
I low key, I was like, God, those guys have nice abs. And I went on Amazon and bought an ab roller. And it's still in the box. My wife keeps saying, why did you buy that? And I can't tell her why. And well, I guess now she's going to know. I didn't think about that.
That should be your L of the week. That's
Oh,
awesome.
man.
Wow.
Welcome to the Taking L's podcast.
Taking L's podcast. Hey, this is all about, as you're picking up on very quickly, we want you to laugh with us as we talk about life, laugh at us, laugh with us. And this podcast is really designed to talk about life, talk about everyday leadership, and to laugh along the way. And if you haven't laughed yet, you don't have a heart and you need to expand your comedic horizons because we are pretty funny. And what we want you to walk away with...
That's such a good self-compliment.
What we want you to walk away with here in the next 30, 40 minutes is, one, we want you just to really be inspired to live life to the fullest. And also, number two, we want you to have just a greater understanding that there is a great leader inside of you. No matter the situation or season of life that you're in, you have the potential right now, today, to be a phenomenal leader. And have I mentioned, we love to laugh. So get ready, buckle your proverbial seatbelts as we dive into episode 4 of the Taking L's podcast. And this one is titled Calm Down.
Calm down. And before we get into our segment to open us up, can I encourage you, if you are listening to this and you have not subscribed on Apple Podcast or followed us on Spotify or wherever you get this, watching us on YouTube, could you do us a favor and hit that subscribe button? And maybe you're already subscribed to us on a podcast network. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a rating. Give us a comment. Whatever you could do. We love the support.
Right now on YouTube, comment what color my shirt is. Because I'm very I'm severely colorblind.
I was about to say, do you not know?
So I don't know, but also I've worn the shirt in public a couple times, and it always causes a debate of what color the shirt is.
That's like a great icebreaker.
Yeah.
You just you meet someone at the coffee shop. Hey, what color's my shirt?
Hey man, how you doing? Ba-da-ba-da. What's my shirt color?
Oh man. Hold on. What color do you actually think your shirt is?
Well, some people have said like a dark salmon.
Oh yeah, that's probably about accurate. I was gonna say like maroon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it pink? Is it red? Is it salmon? Is it maroon? I don't know.
It's a great icebreaker conversation. You could lead like a team stand up with that whole thing. You probably have.
I have not. I should though.
There's an idea. Well, we're about to get into our opening segment. But before you do, make sure you subscribe, comment, rate us, subscribe on YouTube, all that stuff. And it'll be a party wherever you're at.
Dylan, we were talking the other day. We've both gotten quite a few texts from people specifically around episode number 2.
Yeah.
Titled That's Wrong. And we got texts, and I know you have gotten texts like this as well, but a couple of people have said like, man, that's such a great episode, such a great podcast.
Yes.
Like, I wish everybody in the world could listen to this. Were they being kind and dramatic? Absolutely. But there's a lot of people that have said, man, I wish more people would listen to this. Would you do us a favor and consider just sharing this maybe on your Instagram story or wherever else you share things through text messages? in a neighborhood Facebook group. I don't know.
And one of the greatest ways you truly can help share it without actually sending it directly to someone is by rating and leaving a comment. So, okay, I think we just did enough shameless plugging that we probably both want to vomit a little bit because we hate self-promotion. Opening segment tonight, for us, it's tonight. For you, it could be whenever. You could be drinking your coffee. Love a good morning coffee.
Ooh. And a good morning podcast.
Hey, and a good morning podcast. The segment for this episode is over, under. And we are each going to give a hot take. And the other person is going to say whether that is an overreaction or an underreaction, or even just say, hey, I agree right where that's at.
Love it.
You down?
Super down. Let's go.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You start.
Okay. I'm going to start. My first hot take is that cable and satellite companies will be the 2020 decade, so like the next 10 years, will be the 2020s blockbuster. Gone. Completely gone.
I think that is a perfect take. I don't think that's an overreaction or underreaction. I think that is exactly where it should be. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say something better. I think it's an underreaction.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
Because I think that that's going to happen within the next couple years.
Yeah, like it won't even take till like 2029. Like,
yeah. Like we're not going to be talking in 2030. Oh, you remember cable? I think in like 2025, cable's gone.
Oh, I agree. Do you have cable anymore?
No, I do not.
No, I don't have cable. I just like stream stuff. Except the way I stream stuff is by using my mom's cable account. So that's going to become an issue when cable goes away, but we'll figure it out when we get there.
We'll figure it out when we get there. That's a great take. I have one. Here we go.
Okay.
Mine is my number one hot take on over or under is tacos are the most versatile food there is.
Ooh. I am going to say underreaction.
Really?
Because personally, I actually think restaurants would do more types of tacos.
You think they should do more types?
Yeah, like think about it. Like really, like you don't go to a lot of restaurants other than like specifically like Mexican restaurants that have tacos. Like why?
I don't know. I disagree with that. You go to a lot of places, they have like, they're not a Mexican food restaurant, but they have like a duck breast taco, a banh mi taco.
Okay, sorry. So like forget what I meant is that outside of even Mexican restaurants, maybe restaurants that have a variety, I feel like the normal taco you see is your like traditional Mexican taco. Yep. Where I think everything should be eaten in a handheld form and it should be done way more often.
I agree.
What would be the number one thing you would want to see turned into a taco?
Ooh, great question. Number one thing I want to see turned into a taco is actually something that you made before.
Ooh.
A curry taco.
Yes. Yes.
Give me, like, I want a Michelin star chef to make a curry taco. Mm-hmm. Not that you're not a Michelin star chef, but you're not a Michelin star chef.
I'm not.
And I want, like, just a top chef in the world to make me the dopest non-bread curry taco ever.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
So I've tried to do what I'm about to describe, but I couldn't pull it off, so it turned into a sandwich. Is I want to see a spicy fried chicken taco that the tortilla is a biscuit. But I've tried to do that before, and it literally, no matter how much you roll out a biscuit, it turns back into a biscuit. Like it just goes, like you can't make it flat.
I've had a very good spicy fried chicken taco before.
Mm-hmm. I've had that too. Yeah. But have you? Yeah. Okay. We could probably go on and on. About
we should probably do a podcast just on tacos, to be honest.
We probably could. Okay. My next hot take, this is one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
Voting for president, not to get too political, voting for president should mirror the 64-man NCAA tourney. Meaning, when we vote for president, it should be a 64-man or woman bracket. And each round, you only get 2 votes.
Yep.
So you go and like in each round, you find 2 people you like and you vote. And I love the idea of having like way more options than just the way it currently works with 2 options.
That sounds great. I'm going to go ahead and say that's an overreaction because that gets really confusing. I'm having a hard time right now following 2 candidates, let alone 64. So I think
That's a
the
decent
majority of
point.
America would get pretty overwhelmed by that.
Comment on us on Instagram. I want to know what the people think about that.
Also, SNL would hate that because
Yeah.
they can't make fun of 64 different people.
Or, well, think about it this way. Or you have 64 options of who you can make fun of, and now you have more options.
That is true. We have a pretty good option right now running our country to make fun of that. We don't.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. With a 64-man bracket, we could maybe just make sure that doesn't happen again.
He gives enough content that we don't have to.
Moving on. This is a leadership in life podcast, but I guess that's a part of life. Braylon, what's your next hot take?
My second hot take here is people who wear jeans inside of their house are serial killers. If you come home from a long day of work or from an activity and you don't change into comfortable clothes, I cannot trust you as a person.
I'm not going to lie. I do this literally the other night. That's so funny you said serial killer. Literally the other night we were watching TV and I got up to go get a snack or something. I love to snack.
Yeah.
It was 8 p.m. And I looked at myself, I'm like, why am I still wearing jeans? What am I, a serial killer? I literally said that out loud.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing? Put on some shorts, bro.
When you did that, you were Dylan Bundy. I just want you to know that.
You got Cody so good on that one. Oh man. I think that is an underreaction. Actually, to call someone a serial killer, I think you have to say overreaction. But I mean, we should all stop wearing jeans after we get home.
I guarantee you, if we did a documentary on all of the people locked up in prison for multiple murders, and we asked them, when you went home during a long day or after a long day, did you change or did you stay in your jeans? They would probably say, I would say 9 out of 10, I stayed in my jeans.
Cody, could you make sure you send an email to Netflix later today and see if we can? I think that would be a really successful documentary.
Yes.
Okay, my third.
Called Gene King.
Gene King. If you were a fan of Tiger King, make sure you check out Gene King.
Denim Exotic coming to you live. Oh, man.
Oh, okay. My next hot take. Seattle is the greatest city in the world. And now, let me just say this. I haven't been to every city in the world, so it's not like I'm the perfect judge of it. I just think Seattle has such a variety of things to offer, and I think it has amazing things to offer. I legitimately think Seattle is the greatest city in the world.
I love Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Washington State tattooed on my arm that I'm showing all of my friends on YouTube.
It's my favorite when you pull out that tattoo to reference a trip you're going on. When someone doesn't know where Spokane is, I've seen you literally be, oh, it's right there.
It is great for geographical reasons.
Yep.
I love Seattle with all of my heart. I have also said it's the greatest city in the world multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's an overreaction.
So, okay, I thought you'd say this. What city's better than Seattle?
Don't put me on this type of hot seat right now. I'm just saying there are how many cities in the world?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Thousands of cities in the world. You have probably been to 50 cities in the world. Maybe more.
Probably more, but big cities, less than 50, no doubt.
Yeah. So it has to be an overreaction.
I just think the seasons, what other city do you get the seasons?
I'm with you.
The water and the mountains.
I'm with you.
The food scene, coffee scene, culture, you know, there's a lot of things going on.
I agree.
There's no humidity. People are like, oh, New York. Oh, yeah, I just want to sweat and smell terrible all summer. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I want to fight a human-sized rat.
Yeah, I'm good.
Here's a hot take that's not a real one. New York, most overrated city in America.
Okay, I disagree with that because when I went to New York, I was literally blown away. There are some things.
I've never been outside of a New York airport, so I actually can't say that.
The food alone
Any listeners
in New York.
out there, you can buy me a flight to New York. I would love that. Just do that.
Yeah. Just sponsor us. The food alone in New York would blow your mind. You'd have so much fun. You'd be like, okay, I'd suffer everything else for the food, but
I can't wait.
We've digressed. Okay, what's your next hot take?
My next one. Here we go. Amazon will control almost every aspect of life by 2025.
Bro, that's scary.
Let me break down what I mean. 8 out of the 10 things that you do in a day, Amazon will play a part in 8 of those 10 things.
Wow.
Yep.
So out of the things that you do in a day, what would be some like prediction of like things that you think Amazon's gonna like control?
Wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I got my toothbrush off of Amazon.
Okay, great.
Second thing, I go to watch some TV. I'm probably streaming through Amazon.
They're gonna really need to improve their streaming.
Exactly. I think they will do that.
Okay, great.
Third thing, I want to take some type of Uber. I think Amazon will own Uber.
Oh, that would probably.
Fourth thing,
happen.
I want to make some lunch. My groceries came from Amazon. Fifth thing, I want to, I don't know, anything else I do. My work is Amazon. I don't work at Amazon, but I don't know. I just think Amazon's going to own everything.
Bro,
it's even more than my cell phone. My cell phone might even be Amazon.
I'm gonna say overreaction, but I don't think you're far off.
I don't think I'm far off.
I think at this point, Amazon technically could probably buy anything.
Jeff Bezos, if we didn't know this, is about to become the world's first ever trillionaire.
Did you know that there is a Twitter account called "Has Jeff Bezos Ended World Hunger Yet?" It just every day it tweets no. It is not funny, but it's also really funny at the same time.
That is, yeah. Wah, wah,
wah, wah, wah. Okay, next hottest take for me. This is the one I told you before the podcast that I was nervous about and I wanted to run by you, and you said, don't run it by me. Just say it on the podcast.
Oh, I'm excited. Can't wait.
Swearing appropriately should be socially acceptable. And this is what I mean by this.
Okay.
Swearing at somebody is not okay.
Not okay.
So for me to say,
I don't know. Sometimes my wife will cuss at me and I find it very funny. Sometimes even attractive. I'm like, hey girl, what it is.
Okay. But like, if like someone is like,
call me a little one more time.
Hey. But like for me, if like I get mad at someone in like on the street or like a coffee shop, like they steal my parking spot, like it's just not okay for me to be like, "F you," you know, blah 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 blah. You know, like that's not cool. That will probably go into my L of the week actually. But when someone is telling a story and just randomly inserts swear words that are not aimed at anybody but just purely for humor, it makes me laugh so much more. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just because I'm immature.
Let me translate
but
what
like,
you're really trying to say.
But who is that hurting? You know what I mean?
Let me translate what you're really trying to say here.
Yeah.
What you're really trying to say is that you wish preachers on a Sunday could cuss in their messages for churches all across America. You actually wish that when you speak in front of a church, that you could, as you're telling your opening story or even giving the maybe altar call at the end, could just drop a couple cuss words.
I'm going to not agree or disagree on that. But what I'm saying is...
He died on the cross for you.
Is swearing that bad if it's not like aimed at somebody? Like, when did swearing just become so terrible?
He forgave you of your sin. You want that. That's what you want.
Okay, now that you said it, it makes me really not like this takes as much. But kinda, I don't know.
Could you imagine a worship leader like, come on, from the front to the back, raise your hands?
It's like, you know how you use the term really? It's like, he really loves you. It's like you could just insert that with, he loves, like just, you really could get some emphasis in your sentences.
Oh man, it would take to a whole nother level, I'll tell you what.
Oh man.
Okay.
So you didn't answer overreaction or underreaction.
I think that is I think it's an underreaction because in your circle, sometimes cuss words are not allowed. In other circles, people cuss always. And so there's probably some people listening, for instance, right now that'd be like, what do you mean cussing is not acceptable in some settings?
Well, yeah, like social. Yeah, okay, whatever. We don't have to go into this. I agree with you. That's a great point.
Next podcast, we'll break down social norms. Like, do that, you know? That's not happening.
Probably not the guys for that. We could probably laugh at social norms.
My last one, okay? Are you ready for this?
Go for it.
Carly didn't like this one, by the way.
Oh, that's great.
The government should pay me monthly child support.
They do. It's called, you get a tax break.
Okay.
When you have a
that.
kid.
I understand that, but I want a monthly check from the government for having a child.
I ask you a question. What does you having a child benefit the government or society that they should pay you for it?
Because by me having a child, I'm now spending so much more money and making our economy better because I have a little child that is not actually getting anything from the government, society, economy, nothing. I got to buy this little dude clothes. I got to buy him food. I got to pay for doctor's appointments, all of these things. So much money is getting shelled out for this guy into our economy as we know it. Most of it is going to Amazon, actually. I'm helping Jeff Bezos become the world's first trillionaire.
Yeah, same.
That the government, because I'm helping the economy by having a little child that isn't getting anything from it, they should help me help them.
Overreaction. People are going to be like, man, I'm broke. I'm going to have another kid. And people are going to end up with like 20 kids.
You don't think people do that already?
No, I don't. And I think those kids should be probably.
I don't know.
How many people do you know with 20 kids?
Well,
you should have kids because you want to grow your family and love them, not so that you could get a check.
I want to have more kids so that I can get on TLC. This is all about a television show.
You better start working, brother, because you're only at one.
This is all about a television show. Well, that leads us to our L of the week, which, Dylan, you are going to tell us about a way that you lost this week.
Okay, well, there's a story about an overreaction. So, been working from home, I think, as most people right now. If you're listening to this in real time, we're all in the middle of a pandemic. If somehow you found this podcast, maybe it's the year 2021. Maybe you remember, hopefully we're not still in a pandemic, but maybe you remember at a time we were in this pandemic,
are in the far off future, and for some reason you stumbled upon us in the early days of our podcast career. Like
before it got shut down. Hope not.
Before Spotify removed us for being boring.
So I've been working from home. You get it. I think a lot of us have. And it was a nice day. I had like 5 meetings in a row. It was probably like midday. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to just take a little break.
Yep.
And I'm going to go just walk my dog around the block real quick. My dog just sits at my feet begging to go outside. It was a nice day. I'm like, great. I'm going to go walk my dog. I go and I walk my dog and I can't.
What kind of dog do you have and what's his name?
I have a golden retriever named Cooper, which is the whitest thing that you could probably ever.
Beat me to
Oh,
it.
I should have just let you. It would have been funnier if you said it.
I always love opportunities where I get to call you white.
Oh, I really realized how white I was when I just we got our dog Cooper in like summertime. We got in the spring. Summertime came around. We lived close to a park called Green Lake. And we would walk to Green Lake and we just kept meeting other white people with a golden retriever named Cooper.
Yep.
And it was just like, after Cooper number 7 that we met in the matter of a month, we're like, wow, we are basic.
Yeah.
This sucks.
I hope you hated yourself for just a little bit.
Bro, I hated myself. I tried so many different names. My wife blames me for Cooper. But
really?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We're not going to go into that.
Latrell would have been a great name.
Have you ever met a dog named Latrell?
No, but it would have made you less white.
That's very true.
Which is the goal of this podcast. Your L of the week. I'm sorry.
So L of the week. So I take my golden retriever named Cooper for a walk, and we go for a walk around the block. And I really struggle to do anything in silence or anything by myself. Yep. So I always have to be like listening to something, talking to somebody, whatever. So I get outside and instantly I FaceTime a friend. I FaceTime our friend KG. And when I FaceTime, I'm loud and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. So I'm just walking my dog, not paying attention to what I'm doing. And I have a really bad habit of not bringing poop bags when I walk my dog. And so when I walk out of my apartment, there is a station with poop bags. And I walked right by them and knowing that my dog is probably going to poop.
Yep.
And by the way, if you aren't from Seattle or don't live in the city of Seattle, let's just say people in Seattle are kind of sensitive about leaving your dog's poop out and about.
Really care about the earth.
Yeah, and it's actually bad for the environment. So I've heard for your leave your poop out. I'm actually really good about picking it up. I can't speak for Maddie, but Cody, we might need to delete that from the podcast.
No, we're not.
I'm kidding. I don't think I've ever deleted anything. So I'm walking Cooper.
Nor has Maddie ever listened to this podcast, your wife. So there's that.
The other day we were listening. She's like, babe, I want to hear the podcast. We got through the opening segment and then like we started talking about life and she was like, okay, you could pause now. And I'm like, what do you mean you could pause now? She was like, I hear you talk about this stuff all the time. I just wanted to laugh. And that was it. I was like, I guess that's fair, but I'm kind of insulted.
I have a feeling that like 80% of our listeners probably do the same thing.
If that's actually you, comment and then we will change this podcast, I guess. But so walking my dog, keep digressing. I get like 20 feet past the poop bags and Cooper finds a little bush that just has the right smell, lets it rip, and FaceTime KG still. And so I start making my way walking back to the poop bags. This woman starts walking and sees me walking away from the poop. She is facing away from me and she just starts screaming. Like she turns around and like I live in Seattle, so there's like buildings and stuff. And like if someone's loud, it like literally echoes off the buildings.
Yep.
This woman is screaming. Everyone is looking around, staring at me. It's like, are you not gonna pick up your dogs? And like, she hasn't even turned around to look at the fact that I am walking back to the poop bags. And at the moment she like actually finishes her like screaming at me, my hand is literally in the poop bag apparatus pulling out a poop bag. And so she's screaming and
Who would have thought the word poop bag apparatus would have been said in this episode?
I don't know what you know what I'm talking about? What do you call that thing?
No, you're correct.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
And the lady is screaming at me. But before she can finish her sentence, she turns around and it's like, are you going to pick up your dog's poo? And she can't finish because the second she turns around, she sees me grabbing a poop bag. And I've never seen someone eat their words so bad. By the way, if this woman is listening to this podcast, she's probably not. It's okay. You're forgiven. But the woman, like turned around so fast and like started speed walking to just like evade the situation. And I got screamed at by a woman in downtown Seattle for not yet picking up my dog's poop. And I waved and I said, have a great day. God bless. We'll see you later. And it just made me think though, how many times do I overreact to things?
Yeah.
And I wrote this down. How many times do I react before I ever even give myself a chance to reason? Meaning, do I actually take a look at what's happening? Do I take an opportunity? Reason means to understand, to gain perspective. Do I actually take a chance to maybe understand what is happening in a situation before I overreact to that situation? And for me personally,
that's great.
The reason I even we're having this conversation is this is something I'm even working on, where I find myself overreacting and not taking a chance to reason and understand what is happening before I even give a reaction. Whether that reaction is a good reaction or a bad reaction, maybe I should just take some time to get some context first before I even react to something.
That's great. As you were even saying that, I immediately think through reactions I've had and just how many everyday little moments happen. And for the most part, we either kind of just like that hot take game that we played, we either overreact, right? We underreact, or we react equally for whatever the moment calls.
For sure.
And kind of even, we were talking about it earlier, and I want to pass it back over to you to kind of speak to some things, again, that are happening in our world right now. But even just this idea, as we kind of talk on this idea of like having the proper reaction, right? Taking moments to where you just need to calm down, or even taking moments and realizing that there's certain things that happen where maybe you need to pick it up, right? And you need to overreact. And you need to actually have a reaction that matches the situation. So I'll kind of throw it back to you of even how you've been thinking about some things that have been going on in our world, and kind of just this idea of, does your reaction match the situation? That's what I think we can really kind of talk about, is just,
yes, exactly.
Are we actually being people that our reactions match the situation that is in front of us?
The thought process for this conversation is not so much that we would react or not react or not overreact, because for some reason overreacting is bad.
Totally.
It's that our reaction would have some level of thought to the reaction.
That's great.
That our reaction would have some level of understanding of the situation that we're in. It's interesting. When we started with this podcast, I think we had an idea of things we would talk about.
Yep.
But when we even we've been planning out this podcast for a little bit, for a couple months, and we put a date on the calendar. I don't think either of us imagined that we'd definitely not plan or hope for this. But we never imagined that our podcast starting would land in a situation where week after week after week, there's injustice happening in our country.
Yeah.
Specifically, injustice happening to African-American people in our country.
Yeah.
And we even had a conversation as we were talking about this episode, like, do we talk about what happened to George Floyd this week?
Yeah.
We've already had 2 episodes where we talk about who were we including?
Yep.
Who are we having conversations with? Are we willing to admit that we're wrong about people groups? And at the end of the day, we actually took a moment before we reacted and just flippantly recorded a podcast to say what response is necessary.
Mm.
And even in our conversation, we talked about, no, we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I had a thought recently, and I would actually love for you. I didn't really prep you for this, but we don't really.
I'm off the cuff.
Off the cuff. I had a thought recently as a white American, and this week when what happened to George Floyd happened, and I just had this moment where on my own, I'm thinking and I'm praying. I believe in God. You don't have to believe in God to, listen to this podcast, but I'm praying and just like tired of what's happening. And I literally felt like in that moment, I just had this like reminder or this thought come to me of like, if you think you're tired as a white American, how do you think that African Americans feel in our country?
Yeah.
And even that right there, that reasoning should shape my reaction as a white American in this society. How do you, I got to imagine, Braylon, that for you, and I'd love for you to speak to this to maybe even give people perspective that are listening. Like, what does it even look like to be tired of this? How do you even feel? And how should that shape our reaction?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I have found myself this week in particular, and to give a little detail, we're recording this a couple days after the George Floyd videos have come out. Mm-hmm. To get very specific, they came out on a Tuesday. We're recording this on a Friday. So I've had a few days to process. We're even in the middle of the Minnesota riots that are happening right now. Again, whenever you're listening to this, sorry for the amount of timeline detail that we're going into, but I was thinking about it, and this week was a challenging one for me. And you spoke specifically to being tired, and I felt I kind of caught myself leaning so much towards anger this week. And in the past, when videos would come out like this, when injustice happens, when I saw, quite frankly, people who look like me get murdered, I would usually get inspired to have the conversation with people. I would get obviously saddened by it, but it would motivate me to have an impact, to have a conversation. It would motivate me to talk to some white friends. It would motivate me to continue just to be proud of who I am and my skin color, and to reach out to my other African-American friends and find out how they're doing. It would motivate me to make things better. Yeah. That motivation, that inspiration has run out, to be honest.
Wow.
And this week in particular, I have found myself that same motivation to inspire, if you will, has turned into fuel to just be angry.
Wow.
And I'm tired of having to be the guy that kind of steps up to the plate when something like this happens. I'm tired of being the guy that has to help people understand. I'm tired of having to explain. I'm tired of having to read comments that say, well, all lives matter instead of Black Lives Matter. I'm kind of just exhausted of the same routine. I think of like working out. I used to do CrossFit a long time ago.
I remember that. I've gone with you.
And I
what a
remember
time.
the CrossFit guy was saying you have to do the same workout so many times for your muscle memory to kick in. And that's when you'll actually start to get muscle growth, is when your body kind of knows what it's supposed to be doing. Because eventually, right, that same motion will get kind of exhausting. And that's what I feel right now is like we're just in the same motion, and it has gotten exhausting.
Wow.
And at first it was kind of inspirational, and now it's just I'm kind of just exhausted by it. But what I have been inspired by is the fact that I think as a country, there's a lot of people realizing right now that it's time to overreact.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people realizing, hey, it's time for us to step up. It's time for this conversation to turn into action. It's time for us, for our reaction to match the situation. The situation is awful.
Yes.
And we can't just post anymore. We can't just sit by and watch anymore. We can't just hope that other things happen, that good things happen, that good people get involved. It is time for us to do something. I think the Minnesota riots, am I approving of their behavior? No, because they're breaking a law. But I think what they are doing is, to be honest, it's justified. If I lived in Minnesota, I would be right there with them to some degree, because what they're doing is that they are having a reaction that matches the situation or the circumstances. And even kind of pivot off of that, I was even thinking about, as we were preparing for this episode, even kind of thinking of, are my reactions, are they matching? And you said something so great of, do I know kind of everything that's involved in what just happened?
Do you have context?
Yeah. Do you have context of the situation to respond right?
Absolutely.
And I'm even thinking, as much as happening in our world, what's more important than what's happening in our world? What's happening in my household? What's happening in my relationships and my marriage?
For sure.
And I played high school football for about 2 weeks. No big deal.
Wish I was there for that.
But one of the things that I remember a coach always saying is that I played on defense. He was saying that a good linebacker always has their head on a swivel, right? And they're always kind of looking to just survey the scene, if you will. And that's even kind of something that I think about when I'm reacting to certain situations in life, is like, am I just allowing myself to look at the certain situation?
Wow.
Or am I just taking a moment before I react, before I respond, whatever our word we want to use, to just kind of survey the scene? Am I just kind of taking a moment to breathe, to look around? I know I've had to do that a ton personally in my marriage when things happen, when my wife does something that maybe is annoying to me or frustrating, before I overreact or underreact, which to her is a very, very big deal, to just try to remind myself in moments to just take a second, breathe, and even just kind of survey what is happening.
And if I can add something to this conversation, it's, you also have to react.
You do.
Imagine if you were to get into a fight with Carly, or if I was to get into a fight with Maddie. These are our wives, if you don't know this yet. But imagine if you were to get into a fight and you just kind of let it be, and you walked away and you never addressed it.
Yeah.
And imagine you kept doing that again and again and again. Unfortunately, speaking on the issue of race, that's what a lot of people in our country have done, is seen a fight that deserves a reaction and walked away from it over and over and over again. This conversation is not about whether we should react or not. All of us should probably react to every moment in our lives. It's a matter of, are we going to take into account how we should react, and not react too soon, but also not react too late. There's a balance there. Every moment is going to call for a balance, but taking the opportunity to go, how should I react? Before you post on social media and say like, oh, these people rioting in Minnesota are thugs and they're terrible and they should go to jail, they should go to prison, like you see all on social media. Like, maybe you should take a moment to reason and understand why they're doing what they're doing.
That's great.
And maybe you could actually relate to that and gain understanding. that should shape your reaction. For you in your friendships or your marriage or whatever it is in your workplace, are you taking a moment to understand what has happened, to reason before you react? How many times have we gotten frustrated with a manager or a boss or someone that we work with, and we react too quickly before we maybe gain context to why they made the decision that they made? This happens in our everyday life, and a reaction is normal. In fact, a reaction is needed. I think we just can, and I'm speaking for myself, I need to do a better job of reasoning and understanding before I react in situations.
That's great. And you just answered the question I had for you, which we like to always talk about in every episode, is how do you suck at this?
Yeah.
And again, we always come from the posture of we are by no means experts.
No, not at all.
We are in this with you. We are just two dudes just trying to live life to the fullest, and just also trying to acknowledge the potential that we have as leaders in this life. And you said it great. And I think for me, how I suck at this, and something I'm trying to think about every day, is I want to have the emotional awareness, the emotional intelligence, if you will.
Yep.
To know that there's certain situations or things that I'm bad at reacting to, and to be aware of, okay, this is about to happen. And in the past, I have either overreacted or underreacted. I'm thinking specifically in my marriage.
Yeah.
I know for me, if Carly and I have not had enough quality time together, little things she does just start to annoy me. And so I need to be more aware that if we haven't had some good quality time in a couple days, then I am going to be easily annoyed. And I usually overreact when I'm easily annoyed, and I make something very, very small, like her asking me to throw something away today. And instead of putting it in the trash can in the bathroom, I put it in the toilet in the trash, or the toilet in the bathroom. And I was just going to flush it down. It was a clump of her hair. So that's how detailed we're getting. And I didn't put it in the trash. I put it in the toilet. And she was like, "What are you doing? Why didn't you just throw it away? Like, I asked you to throw it away." I was like, what does that matter? And I completely overreacted. And I made this weird face and sound like I was like a middle school girl throwing like a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I just completely overreacted, and probably hurt her feelings in the moment, because of the fact that I was just easily annoyed because I don't feel like we've had enough quality time lately. So having the emotional intelligence to know there's certain situations that are harder for me to know when or how to respond to them, and being able to kind of foresee them happening.
Absolutely. I think that is so brilliant, especially with the spaces and the people that you relate with the most.
Yep.
So when it comes to your wife, when it comes to your friends, when it comes to your workplace, when it comes to your family, I think those are probably like the key ones we could say.
Yeah.
I think for all of us to ask, is there areas that I'm not reacting well? And at the end of the day, those relationships are probably going to keep lasting. So is there something that is causing a bad reaction in me consistently in my workplace? And what can I do to maybe think ahead and get ahead of the game so that I can react better in the future, is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that
you
that
just
is
said
brilliant.
It way better than I did. So well done.
No, I think for me, I'm even thinking like, okay, how can I apply what you just said to my place of work? How can I apply to what you just said with a coworker, or what you just said with a manager, or what you just said to my wife? For me, I think where I even suck the most is specifically with my wife, with overreacting. And so for me, I'm even thinking as we're talking, like, man, I need to talk with Maddie more and ask her, like, what do you think are ways that I cannot overreact?
Yeah.
And maybe if you're like overreacting or underreacting with certain people all the time, maybe even having a conversation with them, trying to get to the bottom of what's causing that, so that you can have a solution that's better moving forward.
I feel like that leads us perfectly into into our As You Leave.
Yeah. So our As You Leave for this episode, if you're new to this podcast, at the end of every episode, we ask a question just to get you thinking. As your dad said when he listened to an episode, he's like, man, what did he say? He's your dad. You could probably say it.
He said, he's like, I don't know if you guys do know that you do this, but He's like, the moment you're done and you go do whatever you do, you make us just kind of sit here and think about it. And so we gotta chew on what you cooked up.
I love that. I love that. So, in the words of Oliver, here's something for you to chew on at the end of the episode. As you leave, what is one area you regularly overreact or underreact? And what can you do to change that? I think if all of us were to look at our lives, there's a space in our workplace, there's a space in our relationships, in our marriages, in society, and whatever it is, that we are not reacting correctly. And I think if we were to walk away from this podcast and go, I could react better by doing blank, I think it would have a significant impact on all of our lives.
Thank you so much for listening. Again, we hope that you heard something that either made you laugh or just a takeaway to inspire you to live life to the fullest. So thank you for joining us on Taking L's. We'll see you
Love
next
you all
week.
a ton.
Subscribe, like it, share it. Work it, automatic. Work it, take it.
Oh, I like what you did. Come on.
Turk it, make it, work it, make it, make it. Love you. Goodbye.